Today's video has got that proper feeling that something big is brewing at Newcastle. One name has come out of Italy and could change how we look at that left side completely. While at the same time, Tottenham are pushing a story around Sandro Tonali that's got fans raising their eyebrows for all the right reasons. Stay right here, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into this, because these two stories feel bigger than they first look. This came out via Milan press, with Matteo Moretto having already mentioned the interest before, and the word now is that Newcastle have made contact over Davide Bartesaghi. And I'm telling you straight away, if this is just about adding depth, sound, if anyone's trying to spin it as Lewis Hall's replacement, they've lost their heads. We all knew we needed fullbacks this summer. That was obvious. Trippier's gone, Kraft's gone, Target's gone, and all of a sudden, the squad starts looking thin in those wide areas. Tino Livramento on the right, Lewis Hall on the left, and then what? That's not enough for a club trying to compete properly on multiple fronts. Now look, most of the chat has been about replacing Trippier, and fair enough, because that's the big obvious gap. But the left side matters as well, and Bartesaghi is clearly a name we've been tracking. He's only 20, and by all accounts, he's had a strong breakthrough season at Milan, with 33 appearances in all competitions. That's solid, that is. A young lad getting that many matches at a club like Milan tells you he's got something about him. And honestly, the fact there's been reported contact does make this feel a bit more real than your usual random Italian link. No formal bid yet, fine. But when the same name keeps coming back and proper reporters are mentioning it, you pay attention. But here's the thing. Bartesaghi should be coming in alongside Hall, not instead of him. That's the line for me. Clear as anything. I can't stand this idea that every rumour has to come with some weird sacrifice attached. We cannot afford to weaken one of the most promising parts of our squad just to patch another issue. Lewis Hall is not someone we should be casually replacing. He should be a massive part of what we're building. The talk of any fallout with Eddie Howe has already been pushed back on, and unless something dramatic has happened behind the scenes, there's just no logic in letting Hall go. None. We need Bartesaghi and Hall. Competition, rotation, depth, actual options. That's what proper clubs do. And with Sandro Tonali getting linked away as well, after all the noise around Anthony Gordon before, the last thing any of us want is another talented player being dragged into exit talk when what we should be doing is strengthening. So I reckon Bartesaghi could be a smart signing. Young, useful, good pedigree, room to grow. Can he move, potentially? But only as support, only as depth. Because if we start treating Lewis Hall like he's expendable, then honestly, man, what are we even doing? If Bartesaghi walks through the door, it has to be to back Lewis Hall, not bury him. Rumour-wise, this one feels worth watching. Not done, not advanced, not nailed on. But there's enough smoke there to keep an eye on it. And that's where I'm at with it. Good player, interesting link, could make sense for us. Just don't insult us by pretending Lewis Hall should be the one making way. Before we move on, subscribe now. Because this club isn't just football, it's part of who we are. We've suffered for Newcastle, we've waited for Newcastle, and now we stand by our lads through every single twist. According to Spurs Web, Tottenham are trying to work out whether they can tempt us into a deal for Sandro Tonali by throwing players into the package instead of just paying the full price. And the 5 names being talked about are Richarlison, Mathis Tel, Radu Dragusin, Dominic Solanke and Conor Gallagher. Right, let's be honest from the start. This is one of those stories where the list sounds interesting, but the bigger point is simple. Spurs clearly know Tonali would cost a huge fee, reportedly more than £85 million. So now they're looking at creative ways round it. The first name is Richarlison. He's the obvious one if Spurs want to offer us a striker. He's experienced, he's played at a high level, and last season he managed 11 league goals with 4 assists in 32 matches. On his day, he's aggressive, busy, nasty to play against, and he does bring edge. But here's the thing. He's also streaky, emotional, and not exactly the sort of name that makes you think, aye, that's worth losing Tonali for. Then there's Mathys Tel. Younger, quicker, more of a long-term upside player. He can play wide, he can stretch a back line, and there's talent there, no doubt. If you're talking profile alone, he's probably one of the more interesting names because he gives pace and room to grow. But he's still more of a project than a guaranteed difference maker. And if Spurs think potential alone closes the gap in a Tonali deal, they're dreaming. Radu Dragusin is the defensive option, is big centre-back, physical, decent presence, and the sort of lad who could help if we're looking at more cover at the back. That part at least makes some football sense. But again, let's not get carried away. He's not some elite, untouchable defender they're reluctantly sacrificing. He's a useful squad option being mentioned because Spurs have numbers in that area. Dominic Solanke is another one who'll get people talking. We've been linked with him before, so you can see why his name pops up. He works hard, leads the line properly, presses, battles, and he can score when he's in rhythm. He's probably the most convincing striker name on the list if you're forcing the argument. Still, even then, it only matters if you already accept the mad idea of selling Tonali in the first place. And then there's Conor Gallagher. Probably the cleanest fit stylistically if you're asking which one could step into midfield and at least give us intensity. He runs all day, presses hard, covers ground, and brings proper Premier League energy. Eddie Howe would clearly get a tune out of a player like that, but Tonali is a different level of class, different tempo, different calmness, different ceiling. That's what gets me with this story, man. Every one of those players has something. Richarlison brings snarl, Tel brings upside, Dragusin brings depth, Solanke brings graft and goals, Gallagher brings legs and intensity. Fine, fair enough. But Sandro Tonali brings authority. He gives us control, elegance, bite, intelligence, and that feeling that our midfield belongs at the top level. You don't break that apart because another club has thrown 5 decent names into the air and hoped one of them sounds tempting enough. I reckon this is the kind of rumour designed to start debate more than anything else. It gets fans arguing, it gets clicks, and it makes it sound like Spurs are being clever. But from our side, the message should be dead simple. If they want Tonali, pay an outrageous fee in full, and even then we should think twice. Because none of these 5, not one of them, makes losing Sandro feel sensible. Quotable line. 5 names might make a headline, but they still don't add up to Sandro Tonali. Question for the fans. Out of Richarlison, Tel, Dragusin, Solanke and Gallagher, is there a single one you'd genuinely accept in a deal for Tonali, or should we laugh Spurs out the room for even trying it?
Perfect.